First and foremost, I want to express my condolences to the mother of Valentina Orellana Peralta. My name is Kimberly Fuentes. I am the Policy and Communications Director for the California League of United Latin American Citizens. Speaking here today will be Jose Barrera, the California LULAC State Director, speaking on behalf of California LULAC and National LULAC. Justice X and Legal Advisor to California LULAC, Christian Contreras. Cliff Smith of the Coalition for Community Control Over the Police. Sol Marquez of CSO. Eden Enamorado, a community member. And we want to give a shout out to No Mas, American Indian Movement of Southern California. I want to say personally how it pains me to be here. Yes, I am a member of LULAC, but this is my neighborhood. North Hollywood is my home. My nephew and my niece went to that elementary school, just there. And my family would frequent this store. To be here today, to think that this could occur to my brother, to my sister, is unbearable. What I want to say to those in Los Angeles, to my community in the San Fernando Valley, we cannot let Valentina be another statistic. We need justice for Valentina. We need transparency and accountability. And that is why we are here today. I am now going to be turning it over to Jose Barrera, California LULAC State Director.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jose Barrera. I'm the State Director for California LULAC. LULAC is the oldest and largest Latino civil rights organization, and we want to be on the forefront ensuring that the parents of Valentina know that we are seeking justice for her. We want to ensure that people are not falling victims of tragic police shootings, where we see that there's some tactics involved where officers are shooting first and asking questions later. Today we're brought here with a coalition of community members and organizations who stand in solidarity, pushing and fighting, putting in the good work to ensure that when things like this happen, we can address it. As an organization, we're calling on the Los Angeles Police Department and Mayor Garcetti to meet with us because we want to address this issue. We've constantly been seeing case after case where police officers are shooting first, asking questions later. We want to put an end to that tactic. We want to ensure that there's a full report when it comes to this particular case so Valentina could find justice and her family could find peace at heart. When it comes to civil rights, far too many times, and as you're going to hear from some of our people here, our community members, our communities of colors, our Latino family brothers and sisters are falling victims to the hands of tragic shootings, which many times there's no fault of their own. They were just innocent bystanders who fell to a tragic situation. So once again, I want to thank everybody who's here. We're going to take some questions after everybody's done speaking, so please stay tuned for that. And after me, it's going to be our California LULAC legal advisor and founding member of the Justice X Coalition of Lawyers, Christian Contreras.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christian Contreras. I am legal advisor to LULAC. I am also a civil rights lawyer here in Los Angeles. I represent various individuals subjected to use of force. I represent various individuals subjected to deadly use of force, including Rosendo Olivio, who was shot and killed December 18, 5 days before Valentina in South Los Angeles. Rosendo Olivio was shot and killed along with another Latino, Margarito Lopez, in South Los Angeles by the Los Angeles Police Department. The reason why we're here today is to outcry and decry the deadly use of force that has been implemented by the Los Angeles Police Department for far too many years. This is not a cause of just reckless use of force. This is a symptom of a system which allows officers who are bloodthirsty, who are murderous, and who want to shoot and kill people at a whim. And this is the result. This is the consequence. It's not the individual's officer's fault. It's the system within the Los Angeles Police Department which allows officers, which encourages officers, and which promotes officers who shoot and kill individuals, particularly Latinos and Black individuals here in the city of Los Angeles. We have a system which allows Newton, a division within the Los Angeles Police Department, to shoot and kill people and be rewarded for it. There are no consequences. There is no reprimands. There is nothing that affects these officers when they shoot and kill. If anything, they are rewarded. So we're here calling for justice. We're here calling for meaningful reform. And we're here to tell LAPD and the city of Los Angeles to show some dignity, to care about the people which live in your own jurisdiction. Because if we don't do it, if our community don't call out an injustice, if we don't call out an injustice, no one else will. So we're here representing an entire city. We're here representing Latinos. We're here representing individuals who are Black, because the city of Los Angeles does not care. They allow their officers who are bloodthirsty to hunt down individuals in the Burlingtons who are shopping for Christmas. This is the type of city that we live in. So we're asking that the city of LA do something for the rampage that has been going on throughout December, which we have seen 4 individuals, all Latino, shot and killed by the Los Angeles Police Department. Rosendo Olivio, Margarito Lopez, Daniel Lopez, Valentina, all within a 1-week span. And the shootings are up over 100% in the city of Los Angeles. So we're calling for something to be done. We want meaningful reform, and we're calling upon the city of Los Angeles, based upon LULAC, Centro CSO, Justice X, Coalition for Community Control over the Police, to do something. Thank you.
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
Jail killer cops. What do we want? Jail killer cops.
So nada más quería decir que mi nombre es Cristian Contreras. Yo soy un abogado aquí de derechos civiles. Represento varias familias que son afectadas de violencia de policíaca. Represento a la familia de Rosendo Olivio, un muchacho que vivía en el sur de Los Ángeles, que lo mataron en diciembre 18, 5 días antes que mataron a Valentina. Y estamos aquí porque estamos indignados sobre lo que está haciendo la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Estamos molestos y que la ciudad de Los Ángeles está permitiendo a sus oficiales que maten a personas, y especialmente personas latinas. Estamos aquí porque queremos que el departamento lo reforman, que hagan cambios dentro del departamento, porque si no van a seguir matando personas, especialmente personas latinas. Y por eso aquí estamos varias organizaciones, incluyendo LULAC, que es una organización latina, Justicia X, Centro CSO, Community Control over the Police, y estamos pidiendo justicia. ¿Justicia para quién?
Valentina.
¿Justicia para quién?
Valentina.
¿Justicia para quién?
Valentina.
Gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Cliff Smith. I'm with the Coalition for Community Control over the Police. I'm here with all of the organizations represented. Thank you to LULAC for their leadership today to demand justice for Valentina Orellana Peralta. Valentina should be home with her family enjoying the holidays. There is no justification whatsoever for the police officer to have used lethal force in this store. And we've seen the videotape where it's clear that the suspect was more than 20 feet from anybody else in the store when the officer came around the corner and immediately opened fire. There was no imminent threat to justify the use of lethal force. Valentina should be alive today, and truth be told, Daniel Lopez should be alive today in a jail waiting trial for his criminal conduct, but he should be alive. 2 people were killed because of this police officer vicious behavior, and we demand accountability. The accountability must come from the district attorney, George Gascon, who campaigned on the promise that he would hold police officers accountable in Los Angeles for their violation of policy and for breaking the law. So we demand from our district attorney, George Gascon, that he prosecute this officer, that he put him in jail, and that he hold him accountable. It's for too long in this city that police are able to act with impunity, to use lethal force to kill people without justification and walk away from it. And we are here today with all the other organizations and activists to say that we are not going to stand by and allow this to happen again. We want justice for Valentina. Our next speaker, please give your attention to a community leader from Centro CSO in Boyle Heights, fighting against police brutality, Sol Marquez.
Hola, buenas tardes. I will be reading it in English and then in Spanish. Buenas tardes, me llamo Marisol Sol Márquez y soy miembro de aquí de Boyle Heights. Hi everyone. The Centro CSO Community Service Organization Anti-Police Brutality Committee wishes to express its utmost condolences and support to the family and loved ones of 14-year-old Valentina Orellana Peralta. Instead of finding her quinceañera dress at Burlington, which is this Burlington, with her mother, she found the brutality of LAPD officers and she lost her life. She didn't find her dress that day. What the LAPD officers did was a complete act of terror on a child who was already horrified by the atrocities of that day. Valentina was trying on quinceañera dresses and was inside of the fitting room with her mother when she was shot at by the officers who allegedly were there to save the day. LAPD Chief Michael Moore said 3 shots were fired at a suspect who was assaulting a woman. Of the 3 shots, 1 hit the wall and killed Valentina inside of the fitting room. She died in the arms of her mother. And the other struck and killed suspect Daniel Elena Lopez. LAPD used reckless tactics, causing the deaths of 2 people. One of them was a child. This is the second time that the LAPD has killed a 14-year-old in recent years. On August 9, 2016, 2-time killer cop Eden Medina shot and killed 14-year-old Jesse Romero in my neighborhood of Boyle Heights, next to the building where I lived. Time and time again, LAPD demonstrates its complete disregard for human lives, especially if they are Chicano, Latino, or Black. Securing the scene didn't mean that LAPD should have opened fire inside of a shopping center in the crowded season of Christmas. CSO has been fighting against police brutality for decades, and we will continue to fight until every single killer cop is held responsible for the deaths of those that they take. And more so when the victims are children like Valentina was. What did LAPD Michael Moore do with killer cop William Dorsey Jones? That's his name, right? We have to say his name too. It's William Dorsey Jones, that's the killer cop. He put him on paid administrative leave. That's right, the LA public, even those who are undocumented, paid for this killer cop to go home for the day. And after he killed 2 people, and one of them being child Valentina. CSO feels paid administrative leave is essentially the finger to the LA public who it alleges to protect and serve. We are all left wondering if our own children will live to see their 15-year-old birthday, with LAPD's history of murdering 14-year-old children. I have an own daughter, and her birthday's tomorrow. Will she live to be 15? Justice now for Valentina Orellana Peralta. Jail these killer cops, and may we take community control over the police. Say her name. Valentina! Say her name.
Valentina!
I will now read it in Spanish. Sorry, my hands are cold. My Spanish is kind of, soy chicana, so my Spanish is not that great. Declaración de apoyo del Centro CSO para Valentina Orellana Peralta. Me llamo Marisol Márquez, soy Sol Márquez y soy miembro de la organización Centro CSO. Estamos aquí para apoyar a la familia y los queridos de Valentina Orellana Peralta. El Comité Antibrutalidad Policial de la Organización del Servicio Comunitario del Centro CSO o Centro CSO desea expresar su más sentido pésame y apoyo a la familia y seres queridos de Valentina Orellana Peralta, de 14 años, quien en lugar de encontrar su vestido para Navidad en Burlington con su madre, encontró la brutalidad del LAPD y perdió su vida. Lo que hicieron los oficiales del LAPD fue un acto de terror sobre una niña que ya estaba horrorizada por las atrocidades de ese día. Valentina se estaba probando vestidos y estaba dentro del poblador con su madre cuando agentes supuestamente estaban ahí para salvar el día y le dispararon. El jefe del LAPD, Michael Moore, dijo que se dispararon 3 tiros contra un sospechoso que estaba agrediendo a una mujer. De los 3 disparos, uno golpeó la pared y mató a Valentina, que estaba dentro del probador. Otro golpeó y también mató al sospechoso, que era Daniel Helen López. LAPD utilizó tácticas imprudentes que provocaron la muerte de 2 personas, una de ellas una niña. Esta es la segunda vez que los policías de Los Ángeles han matado a niños de 14 años. El primero fue el 9 de agosto del 2016, que se llamaba Jesse Romero. Fue muerto por un oficial, Ed Medina, que había matado a alguien más 12 días antes de que mató a Jesse. Una y otra vez, LAPD demuestra su total desprecio por las vidas humanas, especialmente cuando son chicanas, latinas o negras, afroamericanas. Asegurar la escena no significaba que el LAPD debería haber abierto fuego dentro de un centro comercial, especialmente durante la concurrida temporada navideña. Centro CSO ha estado luchando contra la brutalidad policial durante décadas y continuaremos luchando hasta que cada policial asesino sea responsable por las muertes que ellos quitan. Y más cuando las víctimas son niñas, como Valentina. ¿Qué hizo el jefe de policía de Los Ángeles, Michael Moore, en el policía asesino que se llama William Dorsey Jones? Lo puso en licencia administrada pagada. Así es, el público de Los Ángeles, incluso aquellos que son indocumentados, pagaron para que este policía asesino fuera a su casa después de matar a 2 personas, una de ellas una niña. Centro CSO sentimos que la licencia administradora debe de no pagarles a los policías. Incluso debemos de encarcelarlos. Todos nos preguntamos si nuestros propios hijos vivirán para tener sus 15 años, sus cumpleaños de 15 años. Yo tengo una niña y mañana es su cumpleaños. ¿Vivirá a tener los 15 años? Encarcelar a los policías es lo que debemos de hacer y más que nada tomar control sobre los policías. Digan su nombre.
Valentina.
Digan su nombre.
Valentina.
Gracias.
Sorry, my heart's beating kind of fast. My name is Eden Enamorado. I'm a community activist. Obviously, the community is outraged. We obviously condemn this action that LAPD took. This situation is very triggering for me because I was also a victim of police brutality twice. In 2010, I suffered a broken bones and a fractured back and a concussion by the Cudahy Police Department. When that happened, I didn't know what to do. I had no clue what to do. But as a community, we organized. And that's what we should do now, organize and put our differences aside and see the bigger picture, because that's exactly what we did. And we were able to disband a whole police department in 2010 that were terrorizing 90,000 people in the city of Cudahy and city of Maywood. My brother suffered from mental health. You know, yeah, he had mental health crises too. The gentleman that did these actions was obviously having a mental health crisis, or obviously was on drugs. But the point is that I wouldn't want nobody to treat my brother like that. I wouldn't want nobody to treat my daughter that way, for her to die in such an innocent way, trying on clothes in the fitting room. You know, the dispatcher had already confirmed that the individual had no gun. This was unnecessary. I have never cried the way I've cried today during a press conference, hearing her mother describe what happened. You know, she said they were trying on clothes in the fitting room and they heard screams. So they sat down and they prayed. And that's when, as she was hugging her daughter, something impacted her daughter and she fell to the floor and died in her arms. Valentina was a big Laker fan. She actually wanted to come to Los Angeles to come see a Laker game and meet LeBron James. So I also call upon the Lakers organization to support this cause and do something about it, because this is the reason she was here. I also have my friend Yvette Xochitl, who's in Washington right now. I would have loved to be here, but I have something really short that she wrote. She said, one of the matriarchal leaders up here in Washington shared with me the other day that when they had their children getting killed was because they were at war with the government. They recently killed 2 youngsters up here, including one of our sister's son. He was 15. A year ago, we were marching for Ernie Serrano around this time. Now we march for Valentina. They are killing our youth. How is that not an act of war? The government has declared a silent war against the people, and we won't stay silent. Whatever disagreements and differences we have, they aren't big enough to keep us divided. We must unite, and the time is now more than ever. Mi nombre es Edín Enamorado. Soy un activista de la comunidad. Este evento me hace recordar cosas feas para mí, porque yo en el año 2010 fui víctima de la brutalidad de policías. A ese tiempo yo tenía huesos quebrados, concusiones, fracturas, y yo no sabía qué hacer. Como una ciudad nos unimos y expusimos la corrupción del departamento de la ciudad de Cudahy y Maywood, y a los 6 meses después despidieron a todo el departamento que tenían corrupción en la ciudad, porque nos unimos como una comunidad. Yo también tuve un hermano que sufría de la salud mental. Obviamente el muchacho que hizo esto lo que hizo estaba sufriendo por una crisis de la salud mental. A mí no me hubiera gustado que la policía hubiera tratado así a mi hermano, ni a mi hija. Digamos que tuviera 14 años y que muriera así. Yo he estado en estas conferencias por los últimos 10 años y yo nunca he llorado como lo que yo lloré hoy cuando escuché a la mamá describir lo que pasó. Ella estaba probándose ropa en el cuarto de Burlington aquí atrás. Y cuando escucharon gritos, se sentaron y oraron, mientras que la mamá estaba abrazando a su hija. Sintió que algo le impactó a su hija y su hija cayó al piso y murió en sus brazos. Valentina le gustaba el equipo de los Los Angeles Lakers. Esa es la razón que estaban aquí en Los Ángeles. Quería ver a LeBron James. Por eso yo les pido a la organización de los Lakers que por favor hagan algo también, que apoyen a la familia. Tengo un mensaje de mi amiga Yvette Xochitl, que está en el estado de Washington. Quisiera estar aquí. Ella quería decir que uno de los líderes allá arriba también tuvieron un niño de 15 años que lo mataron. Dice que esta es una guerra contra el gobierno. El gobierno ha establecido una guerra silenciosa contra nuestras comunidades. El año pasado estábamos marchando para Ernie Serrano en estos tiempos, y ahora vamos a marchar para Valentina. Están matando a nuestros niños. ¿Cómo no? Eso es un acto de guerra. El gobierno ha declarado una guerra silenciosa, y cualquier desacuerdos que tenemos en nuestra comunidad hay que ponerlas al lado y unirnos ahora más que nunca para Valentina. Justice for Valentina. Justice for Valentina. Justicia para Valentina. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a todos. Ahorita le va a pedir a Cristian Contreras y a Kimberly para tomar preguntas. Thank you everybody. Right now I'm going to call Christian Contreras and Kimberly to stand right next to me if there's any questions.
What's the status of the investigation?
Well, I think the better question is, will there be an investigation? I think the issue was that they showed us 20 minutes of video of something that the officers didn't even know. When they got here, they didn't see everything that was going on in that store. They only heard dispatch saying that there's someone assaulting people. They didn't see all that video. So the fact that they showed us that video shows dishonesty on behalf of LAPD, dishonesty on behalf of the city, and it shows you that they want you to look at the narrative where it justifies shooting and killing one person and then shooting and killing another person who was innocent. So the better question is, Will there be a thorough investigation and we will see all the facts? And I say no. And that's why us, the community, we need to hold them accountable. It is our job to say, look, we want to know the whole truth, not part of the truth, the whole truth, and not what you want us to see, what is the truth. So we're confident that the attorneys of Valentina will do that, and we're confident that the community will uphold that as well. So, but the truth of the matter is that LAPD isn't a propaganda machine. They're on a propaganda campaign to pretty much try to justify shooting and killing people. Shooting and killing people. I think we're just so desensitized. We think that, oh, another person dead. Oh, another black person dead. Oh, another Latino person dead. No, it needs to stop. When they use deadly force, when they have a gun, that is the maximum amount of force they could use. That is the highest level of force they could use. They're trained that they can only use that force in the gravest of circumstances. They're trained that that force needs to be used only in the direst of circumstances. And they're trained that they can only use that force when there's an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. The fact that these officers so willy-nilly get out an AR-15 and start shooting indiscriminately inside a store without a justifiable reason shows you the type of officers that we face every single day in the city of Los Angeles. So that is what we want from this department. We want true accountability. We want them to be honest about how they kill people. And of course, we want it to stop.
What California LULAC is really asking for is for us to move forward on AB 1506, which calls on the California Department of Justice to investigate this case. This tragedy, we need accountability.
So, maybe this is a question for the LAPD specifically, but why is it that LAPD has no problem using less than lethal force on protesters in the streets, but they can't use less than lethal force inside of the department stores, where there are obviously civilians everywhere?
So what California LULAC is trying to do is set up a meeting with the Los Angeles Police Department to get a full investigation and look at the full report. Right now, we do not have a complete report, and we're looking into it. We've asked for a meeting with the Los Angeles Police Department. We're waiting to hear back from them. So that's where we're going to get a better understanding of what tactics they're using and why in this current situation they decided to use the deadliest force possible when they already knew that the suspect right here had not a lethal weapon, but rather a bike chain that was not a firearm, was not a knife, rather a bike chain. So we're going to be looking further into this specific situation and ask for a full report, and hopefully we'll get better answers by then.
Yes, the ACLU of Southern California has been saying for years that there's a human rights crisis happening here in our land, and I'm wondering why now? Why is LULAC speaking up now when there's been so many cases? Jesse Romero, Anthony Vargas, Olrea, Vanessa Vasquez, Marquez. There's been so many young people being murdered and nothing happens. Why are you speaking up now in this case?
LULAC has always been in the forefront of civil rights cases. We're not just looking at criminal justice reform in cases of police brutality. We're looking at different cases across different issues, whether it be on civil rights, housing, economic rights, and making sure that Latinos are always being heard and listened to. So we've been working in the forefront of a variety of different cases.
There's a narrative on social media that I've seen that people are making the point, at least some people are making the point, that the police were under the understanding that the person could be armed.
It was an active shooting.
Definitively, whether that's indeed the case, do the cops know the person did not have a gun?
For those of you who've seen the report, and I'll allow Christian to speak more on this, there was a report released yesterday that the LAPD saw, and there's about a 40-minute long video. There was several calls indicating that the person was not armed and that rather he had a bike chain. So I'll let Christian speak on this a little bit more.
Look, the video is undeniable. You cannot dispute the video.
Facts.
The officers say there's a tube. He has a tube. So what type of reasonable officer hears there's a tube and then decides, okay, let me shoot him? It makes no sense. And the better question that we should be asking ourselves is, when all the other officers were saying, slow down, buddy, slow down, stay back, why was there one bloodthirsty officer in the front, ready to shoot and kill without even considering whether that force must be used. Those are the officers that are a byproduct of a system that allows that type of conduct to exist. So you can't dispute the video. This is something that needs to change, and we're hopeful, and we're actually going to be demanding that the LAPD step up and do the right thing, because this is your opportunity, LAPD. Chief Michael Moore, Eric Garcetti, I know you're on your way out, but this is your chance to really do something to tell the people that you care about them. Because far too long, Black and brown people have been thinking that the city doesn't care about us. So we need something to be done at this point.
Can you trust the LAPD? Do we need a federal investigation? Can we trust them?
Well, I think all the organizations here, LULAC, Centro CSO, Justice X, have been calling for all types of oversights, whether it be state, federal. I know there's a recent law that passed, and I know Attorney General for the state of California, Rob Banta, is conducting an overlying investigation as well. So look, all eyes are on this case, but all eyes should be on other cases as well. I think, look, there's a lot of innocent people who are often overlooked, and no one seems to bat an eye. You know, Miss Minerva over here raised the names of Paul Rhea, Anthony Vargas, you know, Jesse Romero, all these individuals, Ernie Serrano, you know, and most recently, Isaias Cervantes, 25-year-old autistic man, shot and killed in his own, not shot and killed, just shot rather, in his own home. I know that's the sheriff, but that's Southern California law enforcement. So we're asking for real accountability here, guys.
Would it change your opinion at all in this situation if it was found out that it was in fact like ricochet around?
So this is going to be the final question. As far as we know, that this incident should not have happened. There was overuse of force, deadly force, as a matter of fact. Therefore, whether or not there was a ricochet or the LAPD used a tactic that should not have been used. They shot first and asked questions later. This is a continuous tactic that has been used over and over again, and we want to be able to change that. We're asking and demanding LAPD and Mayor Garcetti to take a further look into this, and so we can ensure that these types of situations don't happen in our communities and don't happen again. Thank you, that'll be all.
Thank you.
Thank you.